Welcome to MES College Marambally e-learning.
Hi friends, good morning. I'm Dr. Sheba KH, Assistant Professor, Department of Business Administration, MES College, Marambally. Today, I'm going to deal with the topic research proposal. Before moving on to the topic, let me give you an outline about what is a proposal. Let me set an example. If you're going to construct a house, what would you do first? Would you be going to purchase raw materials? Or would you be going to look for a constructor or a contractor? What would you be doing first? Obviously, we won't be doing any of these, right? We'll be going for a blueprint. We need to see how we want to foresee our house, how our dream house would look like. So we'll be more into watching and evaluating the blueprint in front of us so that we'll get the big picture. This blueprint is exactly what we call as a proposal. So when you're moving into the research, the topic is more familiar in the academic community. So when we are moving into research, this proposal is actually used to extract the interest of funding organizations, or maybe if you're going for a PhD, then the research guides or the experts will be evaluating your research on what you write on it. So this proposal is actually the blueprint of a research. If the research is an action, then the proposal would be the blueprint, and if research is a field work, proposal would be the checklist of it. So let me go into the slides. While going to the slides, I'll be giving an explanation in detail. So the proposal is actually intended to convince others that you have a worthwhile research project and that you have the competence and the work plan to complete it. It should contain all the key elements, contain the research process. Hopefully, you are familiar with the topic research process. The research process is a step of 12 to 13 steps where we begin with identification of research problem, conclude with writing a research report. So, this proposal also should contain the elements, key elements of these 12 steps. Now, what are we going to do with the proposal? In the research proposal, we are actually trying to answer 3 different types of questions. 1, what do you want to accomplish? 2, why is the research important? And 3, obviously how we are going to do it. So these 3 answers we are going to answer, these 3 questions we are going to answer with the proper lining of research proposal. So in research proposal, what are the elements? We have a title, we have a background, we have a statement of the problem, we have objectives, literature review, hypothesis, scope and methodology. Moving on to first the title. Title is actually the first thing which strikes the experts or the funding authority, whoever who wants to evaluate your research, they need to know what you're working upon. So that title will help them to give an outline to it, give an idea about it. It should be very concise, very clear, very short, focused. Brevity is what you have to keep in mind, brevity and aptness. That 2 aspects are what we're looking into when you're moving into the title aspect. Then about background. Background is actually when you go with writing about the research. You are giving an introduction as such, like the definition, the magnitude of the problem, the brief statement on what is already known, what you are going to work upon and how far are you going to take the research forward. A statement on what is not known, like what are the gaps in the research field, like all the areas of a particular problem may not be discovered, may not be unearthed. There might be some aspect where there are some missing links upon which you are going to throw some light upon. So what is the research question which you are trying to answer? So all these content would be included under the background section. Then obviously statement of the problem. It is here where you will be providing the proper research question as a pattern. The problem defines the context for the study and it also identifies general analysis approach. It should be a clear description of the issue and it explains how the results of your research will contribute to the existing body of knowledge. The third step is obviously the objectives of research. Here in some proposals I have seen, you will be writing like major objectives, minor objectives. That is actually in my opinion, if you ask me, it will be better if you come up with core objectives alone, since the reader or the funding authority would not be interested to find which is the major one, which is the minor one. They will be looking into what the main objective is. So it will be better if you go on writing the core objectives alone. So through objectives, what you are trying to do is you are trying to give them an idea of the research hopes which you want to accomplish. It should be very specific and should be crafted very carefully. Why? Because the answers of the findings should corroborate with the objectives which you have written in the proposal. So this objective, when you craft, you should be very crystal clear. You should always keep in mind that answers of the findings should be there. You should find an answer to each and every objective which you frame under this section. Under literature review, I hope this area is quite familiar with you. Literature review is where you will be referring to different authorities or different written publications. See, if you take up an area, you are not the first person to work upon it. Umpteen number of journalists, scientists, research scholars or professors would have worked upon it. They have published it also through paper publications, presentations or literature or editorials, articles. So they will have already published it. So all these are actually secondary data and you are making use of that so that you will get an idea on what you want to build your base upon. So the base is actually created from the existing acumen of knowledge. This acumen is actually what you call as literature review, but always bear in mind you can use secondary data, but you should give credit to whose work you have been referred to. For example, if you are referring to my work, maybe Dr. Sheba K.H. published a paper in 1980s maybe. So if you are going to quote my sentence, you have to appreciate my work, you have to acknowledge my work, you have to write yes, Sheba K.H. in brackets, you put the year, you will write it. So that the reader should know, yes, this person is justifiable. This person gives credit to whatever work he looks into. So this person could be trusted. So this person would be sincere enough to do the work. So that idea has been portrayed under literature review. Also, along with that, through literature review, the reader will be getting an idea on how aware you are of other similar works, then expose methodologies which they adopted, and they provide sources of information that you may not have done yet, so that you can work on that sources also. Then next step is actually where we draft hypothesis. As it is known, hypothesis is the assumptions of the study. We will be working on, for example, if your study is to know the effect of demand on sales of ABC company, then your hypothesis would be a null hypothesis as well as alternate hypothesis. In null hypothesis, you will be stating demand has no effect on sales, and in alternate you will be saying demand has a positive effect or negative effect on sales. It is these assumptions which are going to prove right or prove wrong throughout the research, and on the findings you will be corroborating it with the testing of hypothesis. Once the hypothesis or the assumption is made correct or false, based on that you conclude, and then you corroborate it with the objectives which I have mentioned in the previous slides also. So this is the relevance of writing a hypothesis. So hypothesis is actually a prediction of a relationship between one or more factors and the problem under study which need to be tested. It represents a declarative statement of the relations between two or more variables. Then we will be writing about scope and the limitations of the study. I have seen in different proposals the word scope, in some cases it has two different meanings to it. In one way, the way to mention scope is like, for example, if you are working on a topic called as stock market, you can say you are aware that the stock market keeps on changing, right? So if you are going to submit your report today, as on today, like 2020 August 18th, you are going to submit this today. But have you considered all the relevant data of the stock market until today? No, because your data collection has stopped maybe in around 2019 December maybe, or 2018, 2017, so we have stopped your data collection. It was analysis which took more time for you to submit a report. So this lag will be there. So a reader might be confused. Oh no, stock market has been changing now, the indices have changed, why this fellow has not used it? That is the relevance of writing a scope. In scope, you will clearly define your study area pertain to 2015, 2017 alone. Whatever changes happened in the stock market after 17 has not been included in the study. So this positive thing is what we help. So this is actually a helpful way for the researcher to tell that look, this is only my study domain. Nothing outside the domain, I am not responsible for the changes. So that is one area where you can say scope. In another way where you write scope is that the research itself has some importance. So what is the relevance of doing such a particular study? Or what is the importance, what future applications, what are the implications of doing such a study. So in that context also the word scope could be used. Then limitations is actually when we will be facing a few constraints when you are moving along with the research. If you are going with the financial data analysis, probably most of the finance companies may not be willing to let out the financial data. So that may be one considered as one of the limitations. So that is what we are explaining under the slide, scope and limitation. So limitation basically identifies potential weakness of the study. It is not possible to include all aspects of a particular problem. Then state what is not included, then specify the boundaries of your research. All those are limitations. Now last step is methodology. This is actually the heart of a proposal. It is here where you mention in detail what you are going to do with your research. Here you should state how your study design is. Research design, it could be descriptive design, it could be experimental design. So what you are going to do is what you mention here. Second, about what is the whole population size, what is your sampling size, what are the research instruments you are going to make use of. Are you going to conduct a pilot study? If yes, with how many number of population or with how many as the sample size with which you are going to go with the pilot study. Then reliability, validity test need to be checked upon. The method of data collection, are you going to go with primary data or you are going to make use of secondary data, or are you going to make use of a mix of both primary and secondary? Are you going to use observation method, questionnaire, schedule, or other methods are also the consumer panel, jury methods, all those methods are also there, survey method. So which method you are going to use in your research. Then we have ethical issues. Obviously whatever data has been given to us, it may be in a plate, but we need not, since the data is available, you need not make you need not have to publish everything was given to you. You have to analyze. Some data may be very personal, they just let it out so that you would get a clear picture. That does not mean you need to publish it. So some data need to be kept confidential, some names need to be kept confidential, some part are there where you need to take extreme precautions not to hurt the feelings of others, some cultural nuances, some words, some jargons. So that is where the ethical aspects come in picture. Then obviously in last, financial details. In financial details is what you look into, where you give them a clear picture. If you are going to submit this proposal to some research funding agency, maybe UGC is going to give you a grant of maybe rupees 5 lakh. You are submitting this proposal so as to get that 5 lakh from UGC. Obviously you have to show them every penny they give you is worth it. So you have to mention for data collection, I need 2 lakh. For analysis, I need 1 lakh. I need to purchase a laptop. I need to purchase some radar. I need to purchase some instrument. I need to make some lab instruments. I need to buy some equipments. So they need to know the amount they give to you, you will be making use of it in every cost effective manner. So that is what we write under this. So that is actually the financial details what we look into the methodology aspect. So this is under what the different sections of a research proposal. Like I said before you, when you draft a proposal, you have to look into all these aspects. But there is one other aspect also which you should need to know, like what are the advantages. Obviously I told you the research proposal would help you to get your research funded. It will help you to review and critically evaluate your current research program, convince yourself to become self-confident, as well as convince others that your research is worth supporting, keep you focused at all times. Then also when you write a proposal, some creativity might come into your mind. So to develop novel ideas also, you can make use of research proposal. Then like I said, the relationship between the research proposal and research. See, like I said, if the proposal is a plan, then research is the action. If proposal is compulsory, then the approval is research. Proposal is a schedule and research is activity. In short, proposal is actually a mirror image of research. It is a blueprint and it can serve as a document of contract. Why? Because you are getting funded from UGC or whichever funding agency is based on the proposal which is submitted. So you cannot change the variables. You can, yes, you are flexible enough, they will give you flexibility enough to make some changes, but not the entire thing. So this is like some signing some contract which you have to abide by at all instances throughout the period. So this is actually the way of this is actually a way of letting the UGC know that yes, you are sticking to the plan itself. So this is actually the relationship between a proposal and a research. Then what are the common errors when you are going to write some proposal? Obviously, like in academic community, you might be knowing the students when they go to write an answer, you have 5 marks question, you have 2 marks question, you have 15 marks question. You cannot write 5 to 10 pages for 2 marks question. It is obvious, you won't get time enough. But some students are there, since they know that answer, they will be keeping on writing and writing and writing. The time will be up, they won't be able to complete the questions also. So the same thing might happen while drafting a proposal also. Some minor areas, some people might give grave importance, whereas the major issues would be left unnoticed. So this should not happen. Then citation lapses, like too many errors when you were citing a person's work or some documentary evidences, the year went wrong, the names persons went wrong, initials went wrong. So that type of, or in some cases you forgot to mention forgot to give the credit or to mention the author's name, or incorrect references, sloppy writing, then failure to state assumptions like the hypothesis, then unsubstantiated assumptions, like some need to be, if you state something, some persons need to get accepted by the logic. So it should be logical. So you cannot give away some unbasic or some unruly assumptions. So those things should be kept in mind while drafting a proposal. This I'll very quickly I'll go through it. What is a reader? Right now what we learned is how you are going to draft a proposal. Now I am going to tell you, a reader or you submitted this proposal to UGC or some other funding agency, ICSR or whatever. So what now I am going to speak about is how are they going to evaluate a proposal. To them you are just X, Y, Z. You are like they don't even know you, they are going to judge you on the basis of this proposal alone. So what are these people going to look into the proposal? At first they will looking into how you have drafted your problem, how have you identified your problem. Then, have you given any support to the problem? How have you introduced your topic? Which all literatures have you reviewed? Have you given enough credit to all the authors which you have taken the notes on? Have you provided a conceptual framework or theoretical framework upon which you are going to base your study on? What are the objectives upon which the study is going to be taken forward? What are the design? Is it going to be an experimental design? In that case, funding would be a bit higher. Is it a descriptive design, or what type of design have you drafted? What is the significance of your study? Is it worth it? Is it feasible? Can you work it out within maybe 2 years period of time or 3 year period of time? Is it feasible? Is it going to get the data enough? Then other comments like is the format or is a proposal very neatly drafted, very compliable, or what could have done in order to make it a more well structured manner? Has the proposal been proofread and has it been edited, or should another things should be made? And along with that, these people will be looking into how you have supported your financial constraints and also they will be looking into that aspect also. So on all these grounds, they will make a quick decision to grant you the money or to discard your proposal. So this is actually what I wanted to give you a picture on. Hope I am clear with the topic. We have discussed on what is a research proposal, relevance of it, that is what I said in the intro part. Then we looked into how these proposals will be drafted, what are the steps you need to be kept in mind, what are the errors you should avoid, what are the advantages, what is the relationship between a research and research proposal. Then from the part of an evaluator, how the person is going to evaluate the research proposal. So hopefully the topic was clear. The topic was clear, make note of whatever ideas are delivered, try to come up with a better proposal, efficient proposal, and may all proposals be granted. So we will meet until next session. So until then, thank you.